Hello, people of the world and the Come Up universe. It's me, Nick, and this is the Come Up. Don't you just love when the show starts with you doing something wrong? That's usually the sign that it's going to be a great show. People, I just say it every week, but I'm just so thankful that you guys actually like this thing that I'm doing. So I'm going to keep on doing it. I actually got new patrons within a week. I got 4 new patrons. So I want to shout you out right now. Bill Grinnan, thank you. Michael Simpson, love you. Eshel Childers, friend of the show and contributor on Hot Takes, big fan. Thank you so much for your contribution. And Simon Hedger, dear friend, I appreciate you and your life. Thank you so much for donating to the thing. It's never too late to become a patron of the Come Up, or to buy me a coffee. Support all the new things that people are doing, because, you know, it's hard out here in these streets. And people just trying to get some extra dough. And we do it by creating great content like this next person who I'm a big fan of. And I'm so excited she's here. It's Tyler Meredith. I don't know if you listened, but I was on her podcast called Big Disney Energy this week with the amazing Michael Turrentine. Our thoughts are with you, Michael. We love you. Yeah, she is Disney, so I'm just gonna bring her out to talk about it. Here she is, Tyler Meredith. Tyler, how are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me on. This is a day, a year maker. I'm so stoked. Thank you so much.
That's how I felt about being on Disney Energy. I literally was skipping around for I think it was 2 weeks, and I was skipping around. I was like, I'm doing an episode of Big Disney Energy with Tyler and Michael Turrentine, and it's going to be the best. And everyone was like, you're doing Big Disney Energy? And I was like, yes, I am doing Big Disney Energy. And everybody was
You're like, I have Big Disney Energy. Excuse me.
It makes sense that I would do Big Disney Energy because I have Big Disney Energy. Before we Big Disney Energy and you being literal Disney royalty, let's talk about your background. Let's talk your story. Where are you from, Tyler? I always think that you're from Texas, but that's because of a role that you played one time as a Goodman and not because that's your actual story. So tell people where you're actually from.
That's so close. I'm actually impressed that you didn't think it was in Idaho or near Idaho, because a lot of people are like, oh, Arkansas, that's near Montana. And I'm like, it's absolutely not. But I grew up in Northwest Arkansas in Fayetteville. So it's the Ozarks. If you've seen the Ozarks, it's in the Ozarks. So just a good old cute liberal college town. I say it's the what Austin is to Texas, Fayetteville is to Arkansas. So I'm like, if you're gonna go, just maybe go to Fayetteville, That's it.
How did you find this magical world of theatrics and performance?
Well, I started out doing ballet, and did that from a really early age.
Do you still practice sometimes? Do you still dance around your
Yes, I'm laughing because it's real. Yes, but I do still take classes. I love it. I mean, nice. I'm old, so things aren't bending the same way as they used to. But yes, so I did that, and then I somehow found out that you could go to college for theater when I was young, and I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. And I was 8, and I was like, okay. I convinced my parents to send me to Shakespeare camp, so I did that. And I came back from a Shakespeare camp at Alabama Shakespeare Festival and made my 5th grade class put on a production of the Scottish play. So I did that.
Of course you did.
Right.
I see little Tyler like, what we must do is this play.
I had pants that were, I call them my director's pants. They were like pinstriped. They were wide leg. It was the 90s, you know. And I loved them. But yeah, and so I kept dancing, and then and also doing theater. Theater Squared, which is a great theater in Fayetteville. They, before they became Theater Squared, the couple who founded it, essentially they ran a children's theater company, and so I took classes from them. I auditioned with a 7-minute witch's speech from the Scottish play when I was 9, 10. Yeah. So ambitious.
Some people are working on puzzles. Tyler's over here.
Yeah, bro. Like what? Sorry. Can I say? I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, it's okay. It wasn't like an intentional one. Like
Oh,
I feel like
okay,
like, especially in podcast world, like TV world and podcast world are different, right? Like on podcast
right.
world, if you say it like explicitly and hard, that's different than just like what the fuck? Like
Right.
even that one's
Right,
okay.
right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Good. But yeah. So I and then from there, I found out my cousin was going to an arts boarding high school in Michigan called Interlochen, and I was like, that seems cool. And my parents, for some reason, trusted me to be responsible, and they let me audition, and I somehow got in, and I went there 9th through 12th grade and like, studied theater and made magic in the woods in northern Michigan.
It's wild up there. I've been on the like agency showcase for the seniors for the last 2 years.
Oh, magic.
We didn't go this year because of COVID, but we went last year, and I was like, I'm at Arts Hogwarts. Like people were like,
yes,
what are you doing? And I was like, I'm at Hogwarts, except
Yes.
they learn like art stuff, like any of it, literally anything you want. It's
anything.
here.
Organs. You want to major in organs? There's an organ fucking
Straight up.
organ building. It's been great.
Thank you so much for coming on. We have to pull the emergency cord there.
Douses me with water.
Oh my god. LC, we gotta look into some slime. They gotta look into some slime.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so I went there and then visited Chicago during like it was basically like a senior benefit. We came down here to perform for donors. I was like, why did you trust us? We were 17 in a giant city. But I visited, I fell in love with it, and took some time off, ended up going to school out at Northern, and which has such a great program, but decided I wanted to be in the city and transferred to UIC and have been here ever since.
And the rest is history. Tyler Meredith is famous. So Tyler Meredith and I, we met when I came here for my apprenticeship at the government, and Tyler was like the reader. Like if they were like, we need someone to read at this audition, they were like, call Tyler. And that became my go-to, and it still is to this day. Literally when someone's like, do you know an audition reader? I'm like, have you checked Tyler Meredith? And they're like, oh my God. You're right. I should check. And I'm like, yeah, because that's the only way to go. Okay, but there is an art. There is an art to being an audition reader.
Yeah.
So what's your craft? Teach people. Like what's your don't give too much away because you gotta keep
right.
But like
I need money,
what's the like one secret that you would give to someone that's like, I'm being an audition reader for the first time and I need to talk to this legendary audition reader to get the tools?
I feel like absolutely knowing that it's not about you. Like it in no way should you go in to a day of reading thinking it has anything to do with you. You have to put everything on the other person. That's your job. And thinking about it is, I mean, I love it because it's an opportunity for me to hopefully help other people get jobs. That's why it's the best job ever. And I think also like preparing. Sorry, you said one thing and I'm like 8.
And that's cool. We like 8.
But like, I think really preparing and taking it seriously, all like so many actors, it's like it's so hard when you're, and of course readers have bad days. That I like absolutely has happened to me, like happens all the time. But I think preparing, read the play, like read the sides, make sure you can show up as a good partner and enjoy it. Like it's such a gift to be able to act all day. And if you go too far, people will pull you back, and I like to check in with the director. I'm always like, cool, let me know. Like, and 9 times out of 10, they're like, no, go as hard as you can. Like, because they want to see people play with people. And, I think there's sometimes a weird stigma about like needing to like make the actor work, and I'm like, or you could just
do your job too, like,
right, right, right. But yeah, I think that idea of like, taking complete ownership off of it and really allowing yourself to be a great listener, like as much as you can. Someone singing at you, like like receive the song, act with them when you're not talking. I think, listen.
Listen, that's a big thing.
Right, yeah.
Well, I feel like that's the part that people forget even when they're like in the show. That like you should
yeah.
You should listen to the people that you're on stage with.
That was very real. Yeah.
I mean, no shade, just a little shade.
Right.
I'm just saying. I'm like, it should be a conversation. I think so often people are like, my job is to elicit emotion, or to. I'm like, I mean, usually the circumstances will bring it to you. Like if you just
listen.
Talk and just listen, right? Then I'm sure that message will get across.
Exactly.
What a world.
What a world.
So Tyler, so you've worked in Chicago in various capacities over the last few years. So what are some of your what's your favorite thing about working here in Chicago? Like what's your jam?
I feel like the talent is insane. And I haven't worked in other not New York or Los Angeles. But I feel like there's something so exciting about the talent here. And the community is so strong and so supportive. And Robert O'Hara, he wrote a play that I did in college. And this quote has always kind of stayed in the back of my mind. And Deanna Myers actually recently quoted it. But the idea that this certain play was meant to be like a slap in the face to the audience. And I feel like that's kind of Chicago's MO a lot of the time. Yeah. I think, there's a lot of pride behind telling stories that maybe other places or other, companies are too afraid to tell. And I just think it's bold, and the talent is insane.
And there's so much of it.
And
that's the other thing you see when you're sitting in audition rooms all the time is that you're like, how do all of you live here? And it's like
it's mind blowing, right? Yeah. It's it's so exciting, and I honestly feel really lucky having gotten to work so much as a reader, just because it's allowed me to know people I would not maybe have had the opportunity to, especially in terms of the musical theater world. And so that's so exciting, because I feel like I've gotten to know so much of the community. And it is the support and excitement that Chicago artists have for seeing other Chicago artists work is just, it's amazing. It's so inspiring. And yeah, the talent's bananas. It's bananas.
And now everyone knows Tyler. Literally, like, you'll be in the room and they walk in and they're like, hello, people. Oh my God, Tyler, hey. How's it going? And then there's like a little bit of a conversation. They're like, okay, I'll talk to you later. And then they like jump into the audition. It's like Tyler's like known in these streets, y'all. Like,
you're way too nice, but I think it purely is like, being able to, some people like Michael Turrentine and I were talking about. I was like, I would see him in an audition room like once every 2 weeks, or like, there's certain people I got to know just because the audition process was so long, and I saw them like 6 times. Like, I'm like, hey, back again.
Still me, still you.
So me. Yeah, good to see you. But it is, yeah, it's that to me is such a gift. Like if I could provide any sense of comfort or like assist anyone in getting a job, I'm like, great. Well, my life is made because that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Listen, Tyler now has an amazing show, podcast.
Sweaty.
It's called Big Disney Energy. Tyler, tell us about Big Disney Energy. Where did the idea come from?
It mostly, I think I said on my own podcast, I'll try and not cuss again, but I was like, I have no effing idea. But it came from, mostly me just like, I would record things on my stories on Instagram. No one watched, just me.
I watched all of them.
Oh, you, I mean, you and no one
I
else.
want to be clear. I'm Tyler's biggest fan on Instagram because Tyler was just like posting entire movies and giving commentary.
Somehow
And
didn't get taken
I would
down.
watch the movie with her and be like, yes, or like I would respond to like every single video. and that it was just great. So I was so happy when she was like, "Now I'm going to do that on a podcast."
I mean, truly, thank you for your encouragement. You were absolutely the only person who would watch them.
There's
But
no way. Are you serious?
One of the few. No.
I was about to say. I was like,
Yeah,
those were
tried and true. You're a tried and true fan. Like you would slide into my DMs, and we would go back and forth for like 30 minutes.
Because you would remind me, like we were watching. You were watching Pinocchio. I think that was when I was like, "What is this film?" I was like, "What is this whole section?" I clearly have blocked out of my memory.
Terrifying. That's its own, literally an own episode of the podcast, but it is terrifying. But it really came out of initially me watching The Bachelor, and I love to talk. I just like I just love to go in because I love that show. I love to create jobs for them. I would just like create all these things. And then when I started doing Disney, I was like, well, I'll just like watch every single Disney movie in order. Like, why not? I'm stuck in Arkansas, so by myself. And so I started doing that. And my friend Hannah Brown, an amazing podcaster, she was like, oh, you should like really put this in, you should like make this a podcast. This would be really fun. And I was like, I don't know. I listened to like her podcast at the time and David Tennant's. Like that was and Two Dope Queens. That was it. Like 3 podcasts. And so I was like, well, we'll see. If I think of a name, sure. And then I was like getting ready to go to bed and I was like, oh, BDE, because BDE to me until this year meant best day ever, until one wonderfully talented actress and friend, Bree Sudia, in a text message exchange with me, I said, oh, I'll see you at the Goodman, because I was reading that day, and she was a Music Man, and I said, oh, hey. I said, oh my God, I'll meet you at the Goodman. BDE, we'll go on a lunch break together. And she was like, and she saw me, she was like, hey, so quick question. So like big energy? Like what was the vibe? Like what was the vibe? And I was like, no, best day ever. She was like, that's not what that acronym means. So that changed my mind. That blew my mind. But then when I was thinking, I was like, oh, well, like I love BDE because it's best day ever. It's big energy. And then I was like, oh, Big Disney Energy. That feels so right.
Boom. And it is right. Look at it. Look at it. Oh my goodness. It's so cute and so fun. And it's so my favorite clip was you and Jeff. Jeff's like, so big energy. Yes. You're like, no, it's not. It's not involved at all. This is very funny.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it feels like, I'm definitely one of the few explicit Disney podcasts, and that feels right to me, like, yeah, it just feels right.
I love it. So where did I feel like I'm on your show now? Where did your journey with Disney begin? Like where was that?
I never get to answer this question. That's so exciting.
On the come up, everyone can answer this question.
Yes.
That's not true. I've never asked this question before.
I feel like this is just a laugh track. I'm just like I'm like I feel like I am.
I'm just gonna edit
Sorry.
together the laughs for the 10-minute version. It's gonna be like just a bunch of laughs.
Me crying. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been a Disney fan from like little bitty. My dad absolutely loved it. He would take me out of school to go to the parks every fall. And that was like our time to go together.
Yeah.
And he's always loved musicals. I mean, honestly, my mom does as well, but he would always take me to go see musicals. He loves old movies and old musicals. And so he kind of like got me into the magic of it. And my mom, you know, loved it too. And I fell in love with the parks. And, you know, I think like went through a phase in like probably 7th grade where I was like, like way too cool for this. And then, you know, and then realized I was being an idiot. Like, because, you know, a 12 and 13-year-old, I'm like, we don't need to go back, you know. But then, yeah, and then kind of fell in love with it again. And especially in high school. And then I heard when I was in college, like, oh, there's like, they have like a Disney college program. Like you can go like work there. I was like, all right, that sounds cool, I guess. Cause I knew I was going to transfer to UIC and I had like a gap of time. And I was like, well, I could like try. And then got hired and I'm like, that was the best job ever. I loved it. It was just great. It was so magical to get to work there. And I went to the parks every single day off I had. Like yeah.
That's impressive.
It was free.
That's real. That's real. I mean, I've been to Disney. I've been on like some science trips. I went on 2 science trips to Disney, which were amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But then I've gone with family on like various different occasions as well. And
yeah.
I want to get back.
Yeah.
I want to go as an adult because I feel like I haven't truly enjoyed Epcot.
100%. That's where I had my 21st birthday. That's where I also celebrated my 30th birthday. Like, and I'm a lightweight. So Jeff would absolutely like give me crap for saying this because he'd be like, you had a single glass of champagne. And you're like, we got to go back to the hotel. And I'm like, you're probably right. But you can drink around the world and it's amazing.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is like, when I was little, I was like, Epcot that wasn't, I mean, there's that ride and the ball, which is kind of cool, but what's happening?
Judi Dench. Right.
But now I'm like, oh, I was so wrong. I was so wrong.
Oh,
also,
it's
Downtown
so
Disney, like we went to Downtown Disney.
Oh,
and like there are games there for kids. Like there's fun stuff to do, but like I didn't really see Downtown Disney. Like
no, and now it's different. It looks like kind of this like Santa Barbara, California outdoor mall. It's beautiful.
Oh. Okay.
And there are tons of great bars. Yeah, it's really good. It's real good. But yeah, so it's a great journey. But yeah, I definitely, not to say, don't question many a choice from that company that I love.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I like. That's what I like about your show is that like you get into it, like you dig into this is kind of problematic, and we should probably talk about this theme in this movie because this is either dated or just was wrong all the time.
So many things. Yeah, as Lanisa Frederick, the amazing Lanisa Frederick said, we have questions and we would like answers.
Okay, here's a question I need an answer to.
Okay.
Magic Mail. Okay, so here's the thing. So I don't know if you know this. But as Tyler's #1 Instagram fan, Tyler does nothing but she gets mail from people all the time. That's like all these Disney like bracelets, and Columbia sent her a jacket, y'all. She got a jacket from Columbia. Like, and there are people like all these tchotchkes and water bottles and keychains and bottle openers and calendars. And like cozies, like Tyler's just like nonstop. It's just like getting things called Magic Mail and just posting on Instagram. So here's the question I asked you before we recorded your show, and I want to ask you here on the come up for all my listeners. Do you currently work for Disney? Are you the queen of Disney? What is happening?
No.
How does that
No.
happen? Like, how? If someone else wanted
No.
Magic Milk, if they get it, are you on a special list? I have so many questions.
No, not on a special list. I also don't know how any of this has happened. Like I but it was kind of this weird thing because I was like, well, I mean, we were in the middle of a quarantine. I really just wanted to connect and like talked with friends, as like your podcast is so brilliant at doing. And I was like, cool, well, I want to do this. Oh, I'll just my Instagram was already honestly 75% Disney. So I was like, well, I have all these pictures and like, maybe I'm just gonna like do this and post Disney stuff. And then I was like, oh, there's a universe, this subculture of Disney Instagrammers in the way that there are so many, pockets of like Instagram communities. And I was blown away. And I was like, this is so interesting. So like, if you want to work with there are all these little shops, they're called small shops, and they make amazing Disney merchandise. And like, I always, Kira Fromm did coin this, but I love to run in the vein of like geek chic. Like I like, I'm like all of the nerd, but like gold or like gilded, I'm like, that was the theme for my wedding. So, it's like, but I have like Disney mixed into my home. It's not like Mickey Mouse, it's like, like it's here and there, so, and then I was like, well, I feel like I'd like to work and support these companies. Like, a lot of them are run by young women. They don't have jobs. And like, this is kind of what they're doing. So I just kind of started reaching out to people and I was like, hey, I like really like this. Would you want to like work together? And they're like, sure. And then I basically, influencing full time, which has never been like a goal of mine. That is a ton of work. And
yes.
I like hats off. I just I feel like I'm too impatient. But and also we have other jobs. But yeah. So they essentially will like send a product for a post, which is kind of like how it works. But it's honestly been amazing. I've also met like people in casting in New York and like have ended up like meeting and getting opportunities and because like from doing this, and I never would have expected that I've actually like tied into what I actually do. Or people are like, oh my God, wait, you're like actually do voiceover? Cool. Well, like, so that's great, so that's unexpected and fun, but it's also been, kind of just a nice way to like spread joy and also hopefully kind of, get the podcast out there, but also kind of propagate the message of, to me, like Disney should not be for like young, rich white women. And I think that that's kind of like the culture that has like clung to it.
Sure.
And right. And I am not young nor rich. And I, so, I'm 85. I can't remember.
Did she mention that she's a voiceover actor? That was incredible. I'm 85. That was great.
But yeah, so I think to me, I was like, oh, well, this is cool, but like Disney's also problematic, and I want to talk about that. And I also think it's important that like, everyone has a relationship with this one unifying thing, which is, I think, what makes Disney super special. And everyone should feel like Disney is accessible. So it's been like this weird, cool, extra journey that 2020 said, you can't be in plays, but you can do this.
But you can make a play, huh? Okay, so that's Tyler's version of what happened. Here's what it looked like from the outside. So from the outside, looking
sorry,
in,
that was so long-winded. I'm so
no, it's great. I was just waiting so that I could be like. So she made it seem like it's very simple things, but here's what it looked like on Instagram. So Tyler started posting these gorgeous photos from Disney. Like, it was like, we were like, what are these filters? What is happening? Like, this is... And then, like, she was like... And then she started getting gifts from Disney. And it was like, wait a minute. What's happening? Like, does Tyler work for... Is she a Disney ambassador? And then the podcast happened. And I was like, okay, so Tyler, like, somehow in the quarantine became a Disney ambassador. And now and now she's doing a podcast for them. I was like, this is incredible. So that's what it looked like. For the outside person, it looked as if you like
I love that
forged
narrative.
this partnership with Disney in the quarantine. That was just like
I love
amazing.
that narrative.
But it's
I love that narrative.
I mean, I've loved watching it because it really is a fun show. And like, I love that the idea really did truly come from your Instagram stories because I love those.
Thank you
so much. And you know, being on your show was so much fun because it was like, let's have a conversation about the circumstances around this Disney, because that's in your episode with Lanisa that you mentioned. It's just like, y'all really got it. Like, if y'all have not listened to the Princess and the Frog episode of Big Disney Energy, I mean, they're all amazing. You should listen to every single one of them tonight. Maybe not tonight, you might be a little tired, but like eventually. But the Princess and the Frog episode is like a perfect sample size of like exactly what Tyler's talking about like having fun, laughing, talking about this amazing thing that has culturally impacted everyone's life, but also discussing like what's going on here. Why is she a frog the whole time?
Right. And why did it take that long? I mean, I could go off. Yeah, listen, but I'm sorry.
You say it here, but you're not going to, because the people are going to go listen this evening. Okay, you see that? Tyler, I know that doing your podcast and like being amazing and being an incredible human and being an influencer on the Instagram is like bringing you lots of joy. But what's another thing that's like bringing you joy on the day-to-day?
Oh man, honestly, like being at home, I am
same. I like big same.
Yes, I think this year has really shown me how much I needed to slow down. And also just reminded me how much I love being at home, which I think I already knew. But that's been really amazing. Like getting to be in my house and like actually paint things that I've wanted to for years, but have luckily been too busy to have time to do, or that kind of thing. And being at home, like chilling with my cat and my dog, and having the opportunity to read books, having the opportunity to like go running outside, like, and I feel like this is the first fall that I've actually had time to like go outside and not like get on a train to go somewhere to come home 15 hours later, you know?
Yeah.
I know you
just
understand.
Go outside and enjoy it. To just go outside and be like, wow. I've been sitting by the lake a lot lately. Which has just been very nice. Like, it's not something that I mean, one, there were far too many people out there before. I couldn't do it. I don't like uncontrolled crowds. So like,
a nightmare.
See, but it's very specific. So like beaches, no. Amusement park, yes, because there's some sort of system that's going on there. You know what I mean?
Beaches,
so that's what I mean, uncontrolled crowds.
Same. I'm with you.
So when there were just like millions of bodies on the beach, I was like, this place isn't for me. But now I can just go and like sit and like look at the water, and it's just nice to like
it's amazing
to purposely go outside. What a thing.
Yes. What a concept.
Tyler, I'm such a fan of yours. And I'm so happy that you did this show tonight and that I got to be on your show. Thank you so much for having me. And Michael, again, we love you, sending you love and thoughts and prayers.
We love you so much, Michael.
Like, thank you. Tyler, oh my goodness, Big Disney Energy, iTunes, Spotify, wherever else you listen to podcasts. But go to iTunes, give her a rating. She's got 93 of them, but she deserves 93 more. Tyler Meredith, everyone.
Thank you, Nick. You're the best.
Woo! All right, folks, that's the show. We did it. We did the thing. That was Tyler. She's amazing. Don't you like her? I like her a lot. You should hire her for everything, to read things for you, to be the queen of Disney, and also to read in everything. Just hire Tyler, okay? That's what you're doing. You're hiring Tyler. Okay. I want to give a shout out to my sponsors. Thank you all so much for being donors to this thing that I'm doing that you seem to enjoy so much. I'm just going to keep making it because that's how the world goes. So, folks, I'm super excited that you were here tonight. I'm super excited that Tyler was here tonight. Next week, my friend China Bricky, Minneapolis-based actress, she won an award for being the best actor in 2020, y'all. Ain't nobody even been doing no acting. We're going to talk to her about it. But thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all next week. Woo! Someday I'm going to have a uniform way to sign off the show, but for right now, this is just what you did. It's me, 24/7. Ah!